Hello, dear participants. We are welcoming you to our inspiring chat on how to innovate in digital health. So yeah, we are happy that you are all joining, and let's start. So we have our speakers today, Mónika Tóth from EIT Health InnoStars. She's the director of the Regional Innovation Scheme at EIT Health. Then Gregor Weisgrab from the startup Biomotion Technologies. Linda Lancere from AR Rehab, also a startup supported by E.I.N.S, and Vanessa Loink, a senior researcher from St. Pölten University of Applied Sciences, and she's a senior researcher at the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation. What you can expect today from our agenda. So first, we're going to present our project, the EIT HEI Initiative E.I.N.S, and you will get to know Mónika from EIT Health InnoStars, the startup supported that I just mentioned, so Biomotion and AR Rehab, and then also the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation from St. Pölten University of Applied Sciences. And then we're going to jump into the inspiring chat, what will digital health look like in 2030? Yes. So what is E.I.N.S, EIT HEI E.I.N.S initiative in a vision nutshell? Our project is also called in the E.I.N.S means it's the UDRES Entrepreneurship and Innovation Network for Smart and Sustainable European Regions. What is our vision of the project? So we are creating novel pathways for entrepreneurial universities. We are supporting startups and businesses, and we are facilitating collaboration. As you know, visions are hard to grasp. So I have made what EIT HEI Initiative E.I.N.S means in a nutshell, in an activities nutshell, to make it easier to understand. So when we say that we inspire, that means that we are building awareness through inspiring chats like this one that we are doing today. We have testimonial formats where we present students and entrepreneurs and innovative formats at universities that are supporting this capacity building. We are doing podcasts, and we have also serious games that are soon coming up. When we say we train, what does it mean we train? We are having training and education through open lectures. We are cooperating in hackathons. We have mentoring and coaching formats, and we have startup and spin-off challenges. We cooperate. What does it mean we cooperate? We are leveraging synergies through networks, such as the UDRES network, from which one the project came up. We are also cooperating with the EIT KICS. So this is also why Mónika is today here. So we have this great network of EIT that supports our activities. Yes, and then you also see we are cooperating with creative platforms such as the Digital Makers Hub and other associated partners that would take too long to mention all of them, but one after the other in the inspiring chats, we are inviting them in and cooperating with them. For who is E.I.N.S? So E.I.N.S is for you. That means is for everybody that is interested in innovation and entrepreneurship. We are doing it for students. We are doing it for research staff, for higher education staff, for startups and spin-offs that want to participate in this capacity building for higher education. Yes, so let's get to know our network, and then I hand over to Mónika from EIT Health InnoStars.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please let me introduce a little bit the EIT Health. Most probably you know that EIT Health is the largest healthcare innovation network in Europe. The network consists of 150 partner organizations, which are leading medical universities, large pharma companies, clinical research organizations, accelerators. And also within EIT HEI.N.S, we have a specific program which is called the Regional Innovation Scheme Program. This is dedicated to support the countries, those regions where the innovation capacity is moderate or modest. Therefore, we cover almost half of Europe with this Regional Innovation Scheme Program, supporting those countries and have the capacity building in those countries. I could talk about the whole portfolio of EIT HEI.N.S, which consists of education and startup acceleration and innovation, and also the capacity building. But today, being mindful of the time, I focus rather on the opportunities which is offered to the entrepreneurs, to the startups. So what does EIT HEI.N.S do, and how we contribute to the transformation of healthcare? We believe that the most important tools to help our startups to be successful on the market, they will definitely need access to knowledge, access to stakeholders, I mean clients and other stakeholders to collaborate with, access to the markets, and access to finance. And therefore I step forward, we have a huge bunch of startup acceleration programs for different maturity levels in the startup journey. We have programs for the incubation phase, the validation phase, and the scale out phase or scale up phase. And I just mentioned or listed some of our startup acceleration programs. If you visit our website, you will find all of those opportunities. The majority of the startup acceleration programs are open from February to March. The majority is open for 2 months. How we support or what we give to our startups, beside the grant, what they can use for developing their services, we really believe in giving them the necessary skills and competencies. So therefore, we organize trainings and boot camps and pitching competitions. And we strongly believe, and this is the most highly recognized services, that we provide them with the very best mentors in Europe and beyond Europe. All the startups are saying that this is the most valuable service or support for them during their journey. Of course, EIT has supported hundreds and hundreds of startups, and we are lucky because there are more and more startups which become unicorns and which are raising millions of euros investment. Right now, I just focus on the startup acceleration programs in our region. As you can see here, they will be open from January and February. We have a pre-acceleration program, which is the Jumpstarter. This is dedicated for scientists and scientific teams. They can come up with their initial ideas. They get lectures, they team up, and we have them to go through the journey. And by the end of the program, they establish their startups. You can see here the eligible regions, and you can see the contact details here. Another very important startup acceleration program is the InnoStars Awards program, which is dedicated for startups and SMEs who have prototype or MVP. Here in this program, we rather have the startups in developing and validating the business plan. So we teach them mainly business skills, which are absolutely necessary in their journey. We organize a fantastic grand final event where they can pitch in front of investors and the jury panel. This is really, really exciting and one of the most popular programs within the EIT HEI.N.S portfolio. We have Startup Meets Pharma and Startup Meets Healthcare providers. The specificity of these programs are that there are pharma companies and hospitals who set up challenges, and the startups apply, who have solutions for those challenges. And the pharma companies and the hospitals, they work with the startups and help them to validate their solutions. This is really, really helpful for those startups. It speeds up their development very, very significantly. From this year, we launched a new program, which is Attract to Invest. Here we support our startups and teach them and prepare them for successful investment rounds with very knowledgeable trainers. So they learn what helps them to be successful, how to do it, how not to do it, whether to enter the US market, whether to enter the European market. So it's very, very, very exciting. Again, we have EIT has Catapult for more mature startups. It's very interesting because the startups introduce their services directly to international investors. We have Bridgehead program, which is also amazing because here we support the startups to cross-border mobility and market entry beyond their home market. We have a Bridgehead network, and if a startup is saying that the startup would like to enter the Portuguese market or the Spanish market, we have the Bridgehead partners there who support the entry of the startup. So here I would like to stop. Thank you for your attention. During the panel discussion, you can ask, and I will elaborate in more details what we are doing and how we support our startups. Thank you.
Thank you, Mónika. That was a great overview. Yes, and a lot of programs that will open like in February 23. So I think this is a good timing, and I think, yeah, it's also interesting for the startups here. So they will grab as first the opportunity. So if you are a startup and listening and you have a question, so you can also take this opportunity to use then afterwards the discussion, and I will try to incorporate your questions if you have some also into the discussion. Okay, then I would say that on the next point, we have the startups that will present themselves also. So Gregor, I will hand over to you. So you have the opportunity to tell us what your Biomotion technology startup is doing and tell us more.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you very much. So let me quickly share the screen. Great, so you should be seeing my screen right now. Hi everybody, my name is Gregor. I'm one of the co-founders of Biomotion, and we are a manufacturer of 3D bioprinting systems. Now, for those of you that have never heard of bioprinting, 3D bioprinting is very similar to regular 3D printing, except that we use biomaterials and cells to create human tissue analogs. Think of skin, think of bone and cartilage, for example. So in essence, bioprinters really allow you to arrange cells and biomaterials in a structured way so that the product can recreate a tissue's biological function outside of the human body. And so these tissues can then either be used for drug testing to give more in-depth results compared to 2D cell culture systems, or down the road, even for custom patient implants or personalized medicine. And Biomotion really focuses on being a hardware manufacturer of bioprinting systems. And here you can see our current bioprinting platform, the Explorer One. And so this device is really geared towards supporting the challenges during the research and development phase of novel tissue products, and it's therefore built to be fully adaptable to the, say, ever-changing needs during R&D, and as such also offers our users maximum flexibility. So just to give you a brief overview here of this product or how the device works, we have a tool changing system, and that can grab different printheads and then deposit materials on the printing surface in the back. And so the 4 printhead slots that you see on the front here, they can be fitted with any of our existing printhead selection. And should this not be enough, we also offer a printhead development kit that allows users to really develop custom printing solutions, much like a plug-in system like you use to in software, for example. And we also offer a range of different printing surfaces. So here you can see the flat top with a cell culture plate in it, but we also support rotary surfaces, for example, for stents or similar products. And we also support non-planar printing. And yeah, I mean, we also offer automated calibration to really ensure repeatable workflow, and the software that gets you printing within minutes, even if you've never done this before. So really all the workflows that you need to get from an idea stage to a result stage with as little effort as possible. And of course, there's only so much I can fit into a 3-minute presentation. But if this has got you interested, please do contact us. We're always looking for partners that are interested in developing tissue products, as well as contacts to investors in the field. And if you want to stay up to date, please do follow us on Twitter, as we're currently just releasing our new website in January. And with this, yeah, I hope I could give you a brief overview of Biomotion technologies. We tackle automation and reliability in 3D bioprinting. And I think I can take some questions later on during the discussion session.
Yes, thank you, Gregor. It's very interesting. I have to hold back to not ask questions. All right. So our next presentation will be given by Linda Lanceres, and she will present her startup, the IAR Rehab. So yes, I'm handing over to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
Okay, good. And there's the screen. Great. My name is Linda. Hi, and I will introduce you with the idea in a prototype stage. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So this is a business to consumer solution, which is meant to reduce hospital beds in the clinics or hospitals, and also shorten the recovery time of the patients which are in these institutions. So this is a physical therapy solution, and it is a service. Next, please. It is a service which is meant to perform very individualized physical therapy using sensors and providing real-time feedback during exercising. This also means that the solution involves cognitive, functional, physical, and also mental aspects during exercising. Next. And this is the actual solution. It uses either mixed reality or virtual reality in HoloLens headset or Oculus headset, and it is guided by the sensor data from muscles. Next one. And here you can see, can you show the video, please? Yeah. Yes. So basically, the idea is that all the action in the game during this happens during exercising. If the data is coming in, then this game is going on, and the user is fulfilling the tasks. But if muscle activity data doesn't show any activity, then there is that means that the task is not fulfilled correctly. Next, please. And the main target populations are patients with chronic low back pain, amputations, neurological conditions, scoliosis, any basically functional or movement limitations. Next. And why is the reason is that here we are talking about deep core muscles, which are one of the main factors that contribute to quality of movement and endurance, since their task is to engage before any other activity. And if they are not trained, then the endurance and quality of movement is reduced. Next. So therefore, the solution focuses on very specifically deep core muscle exercises, and solves the problem that very often in physical therapy there is lack of time during the rehabilitation process. Next. So the benefits of this specific solution is that mixed reality gives reduced motion sickness, reduced risk of injuries, and also provides the possibility to perform all the exercises in correct positions without looking to a TV screen, for example. Next. And also one of the benefits is that vital signs like heart rate and breathing is being also monitored during exercises, because these mentioned populations very often have secondary medical conditions that need to be monitored, and the exercising could be stopped at some point if there is too much load. Next. Yeah, and there is also a possibility to monitor blood sugar level if those are diabetes patients, and monitor the fatigue of patients, all using wireless non-invasive sensors. Next. And there have been 3 human studies validating the prototype using with different populations like amputees and low back pain patients. Next. Yes, and that's about the idea. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, so let's jump in and start to approach where is the digital health going in 2030, and therefore for some impulse for the discussion, I'm asking please Vanessa from the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation at St. Pölten University of Applied Sciences to give us some insights where we are at the moment. And yes, the rest I left up to you. So please.
Thank you, Markusarta. So at the St. Pölten University of Applied Sciences, we've recognized for several years now that digital health is a very interdisciplinary domain, and any innovation requires researchers to work together who are from the health sciences to the social sciences, speaking with technologists and so on, in order to really understand what the problem is that people are facing, and to create solutions for these problems that are user-centered and focused on really putting the person in the center of the issues. So some of the projects at the CDHSI have involved eye tracking to understand visual problems in children, have involved motion capturing and combining that with virtual reality rehabilitation exercises, have involved voice assistants and robotics to aid first responders in preventing falls and also other accidents at home, as well as trying to fill the digital gap in communities, for example, rural communities, through a digital platform that allows them to connect to each other virtually as well as in real life. Next slide, please. So as part of this work, it is really important for us to understand what digital health is and where it's going. And so in my group, we have been looking at analyzing published articles from Scopus, in this case, for times before and after COVID, because we see for us from what we've been looking at that COVID has become a real watershed moment in terms of digital health, how people perceive digital health before the pandemic and how they've perceived it afterwards. So if you see here look at this word cloud, you have analyzing from 2012 to 2019, 352 publications. And just looking at the words, my impression is that there is a lot of trying out by researchers of different technologies going into different fields, for example, AI, telemedicine, but it's relatively general. We do not see any kind of strong clustering of terms. Then we had the pandemic at the end of 2019, early 2020. And if you look afterwards, next slide, please. First of all, in 2 years, we had this explosion of publications. So in 2 years, there has been 4 times more publications than in the 7 years previously on the Scopus database. And not only that, but you see that some of the words have really gathered momentum in terms of they have become clusters around mobile health or mHealth. The mental health has become very important and associated with digital health intervention. Telemedicine has also gained momentum. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that it's important to consider social and also worldwide global health events, because they act as tipping points for certain innovations. Okay, so certain innovations gather momentum, software feeds hardware, and they go into a cycle which allows them to become very, very dominant over a very, very short period of time, both in research and in innovation, and other innovations and other topics very rapidly become not as significant as they used to be. So the question here then is, given this background, given that we know that in the next years there are going to be other tipping points for innovations, what might be possible in 2030? You know, would mobile health still be something? Would smartphones still be in the technology of choice? Is mental health going to continue to be a societal problem that we think digital health can help solve? What of the other keywords might become dominant centers for clusters? Is AI, for example, going to be something for the future? So this is where we're going to look to the audience for help. Next slide, please. And you can tell us what you think digital health will look like in 2030 with this Mentimeter poll. We're going to have a word cloud showing all the input from the audience as well as from ourselves. And I'm be very, very interested to see your predictions.
And I am also just adding that if you, yes. Vanessa,
sorry, there's also going to be a code in the chat if you need to. So if you can't use the QR code, there will also be in the chat a numeric code.
Yes, so you just go to the Mentimeter link and then you put in the code for the Mentimeter. And can we please share again the QR code too? Because it's not visible at the moment. Okay, and yes, thank you.
But Margaret is talking.
Yes, so if you're like me, you want to give more votes, so please take your time. And yeah, if you just refresh the link, you can kind of vote another time, because 3 times, yes, you have 3 times the possibility to edit. And I have like made a list on the weekends because of course, I knew what will come. So yeah, it's also kind of a little break in this digital format. Yeah, so I give like 2 minutes more for you and for me.
We will show already now the word cloud so that you see what people are entering in real time.
if you want to interpret this, Vanessa, I think you are the best person to start to analyze a bit the results and how do they connect to the clouds that you have done in your research.
Thanks, Marcus. I will be happy to. It looks, for example, like artificial intelligence is really tipped to be very big in 2000. It's interesting because it changes as we speak. So now it's wearables, and I do believe that's quite it shows that. Let me address the wearables first. I mean, there have been many predictions for some years now that the death of the smartphone is near. Because you have this device and it's not particularly intuitive. You have to hold on to it in order to use it. And so you see people that are walking on the street with the smartphone in their hands, and you can tell that this is not maybe a very well integrated human-computer interface in that sense. So wearables would definitely could be the next step, and whether this might be smart glasses or smart watches, that of course depends again on this innovation cycle, which one of those really take off, because as I was mentioning, there is this feedback loop between hardware and software. When hardware develops and then software developers find applications for this hardware, that encourages more hardware development and so on, and so the technology takes off. Artificial intelligence is still a big one. I'm going to just in my mind put artificial intelligence and AI in the same box, obviously. But some of the other smaller terms, I think we could also look at, like human-robot interaction or cooperation, which came up twice, and drones, for example. So there, the question is, how comfortable are people going to be to work with robots in digital health, in healthcare in particular? But for sure, we know for a long time now that there is a shortage of personnel in care and medical personnel in general. So one can imagine that robots might play a role. So for me, that looks very reasonable for 2030, which is at the moment, let's say 7 to 8 years away.
Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, so then let's continue this discussion. And yeah, when we were preparing the Inspiring chat already in our briefings, first I wanted to have the question also for digital health, or we can also say like healthcare. And yes, I like also to have this science fiction part. So also now I will add some years, and we're gonna beam ourselves to 2050. And I know that Gregor has already some ideas and has a vision where his startup is going to be in 2050. So how he sees not only digital health, but also healthcare in 2050. So Gregor, please introduce us to the future.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, of course, if you look towards 2050, I mean, as there's a lot of potential for personalized medicine or personalized healthcare, and even personalized implants. But there are, of course, many other areas that will work very differently compared to today. I mean, we've just seen quite a lot of them here on the screen. I know we can start by finding new drug candidates via AI. I mean, there's a huge research field about this currently. Then, of course, being able to produce these drug candidates and have an automated way to assess them, for example, maybe even digitally up to a point. There's also quite a lot of research on that topic, all the way to wearables and sensors. I mean, yeah, you just spoke about it. Of course, these are things that are going to be very big. Anything that delivers valuable data that can be tracked and deliver information to healthcare professionals, such as doctors, for example. And of course, yeah, advances in bioprinting, gene editing, synthetic biology. Sure, there are still large roadblocks or biological roadblocks that need to be solved first, but I mean, being able to have patient-based models in the lab that can predict the efficacy of a therapy on a patient, or even provide custom patient-based implants. I mean, that's going to be huge. And yeah, I surely believe Biomotion will play a vital role in this.
Yeah, we hope that it's gonna be like that, and yeah, you see it already. So we are following you into the future too. Then maybe Linda, I would ask you too. So how far can you see your tools and the application in the support of the rehabilitation for patients? How far do you want to think? 2030, 40, 50? Like, what is your like a wish? Maybe if you could say like, if there would be an investor maybe that's listening to this chat and likes your tool, where do you want to go?
I mean, yeah, thank you for the question. It's a huge difference. Either it's 2030 or 2050 in my head. So if we talk about the 2030, it's probably something still wearable, very similar to well, for sure, it's something intuitive. That's something that we automatically put in our bag when we go out of the room, like car keys or whatever keys, or a phone. And I would want to see it that way, that we put, for example, glasses with us, and a few tiny maybe gadgets when we go out of the apartment, and they help us throughout the whole day. And I would say the sensors, for example, they find their location where they're supposed to be by themselves automatically. It's like, but everything works only to help the person in a way that we don't feel it. That's how I see it. And I would never take out the physical therapist out of the equation. Because they have the training and they need to make their input. If we talk about 2050, I think there, as I see it, there would be technology limitations because ironically, I believe that every person needs to learn their lessons. So if the technology is too much and eases our life too much, then we are not able to grow. So yes, I think it would try and help us in in a way that we don't even feel it. They would more like lead us. They would read some kind of data, maybe brainwave data. They would give us a hint. Okay, you are sad, you're depressed, you are tired, your back hurts. And they would give us a hint. Maybe you want to try this. But if we don't take the hint, then okay, go on, learn your lesson. So that would be my vision for 2015. And definitely everybody would be like connected in a way that we know what is happening to our closest ones that we care about in terms of health and healthcare.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing. Yeah, your vision for the future. I mean, you, Linda, and Gregor and Vanessa, you're coming from research. So, I mean, what does it mean for you, this cooperation between because yeah, this also like our goal is like, how can we boost and support this innovation and these cooperations between higher education, so universities, for example, or research centers, and with that they are successful and can have startups or spin-offs. So what is it for you that boosts like innovation? So maybe I start with you, Vanessa, and then Gregor and Linda, you just then jump in too.
Thank you, Małgorzata. I think that we are, first of all, trying to be very, very transdisciplinary. And for me, this is really critical because, as you can see, these problems cannot just be solved by technology. Actually, digital health is only half, digital, and the other one's health, which it really looks like the human being And therefore, in that sense, I guess I agree with Linda that at the end of the day, the human part of this also has to be taken very, very seriously. And that's where we need colleagues from the health sciences and the social sciences to give us their input on what is the major issues from the human perspective. And in order to make these innovations happen, we also need industry partners, because as researchers, we are, I think, often driven by the research, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And so making that research profitable or commercializing it is not, it plays only in many cases a side role. And so we need partners who have that expertise, because researchers are not often also experts as entrepreneurs. So there's very different mindsets here, and therefore I think collaborating in a team-like situation would be very helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think another reason why we need the stakeholders and the enterprises is to keep researchers a little bit more to ground. Because it is fun and really exciting to discover these very detailed problems through research and studies, but essentially where this would lead, would the user actually use the results of your study? And I think this really user-centered approach is a mandatory thing in research, and it should be mandatory since day one when we start studies. And it would be really nice if, when we do our master thesis, actually the whole process is organized with this user-centered approach, and maybe the whole 2 years, or depending on the program, that it's actually one big startup process going through with all also business aspects and communication and HR aspects, and all of that user experience should be implemented already there. And I think we would have huge success if it worked that way.
Yeah, thanks. I think just to add to this, I mean, it works the same for us at the moment. It's extremely important to find really good partnerships, both on the academic side, but also on the commercial side. To really, I mean, for us personally, it's finding people that are interested in developing new tissue models, but also, of course, on the pharmaceutical side that really need these. So yeah, it's quite similar to what you just said, like understanding your final user, what they're actually looking for. It helps a lot with the initial research as well. And then, of course, I mean, since you asked what supports startup, I mean, in the early phase, it's, of course, non-dilutive funding, amongst other things. And of course, the way universities think about innovation and also spin-offs. I mean, if you restrict this process and you cannot really transfer knowledge from the labs to the industry, that's a huge gap for startups to form. Yeah.
I mean, that is already, I think, a poll to you, Mónika, because we have discussed the two, right? I will then overjump some questions. Yeah, so when we're preferring that, we already had that. So why do startups fail, and how can we support their success? So, I mean, on different levels. So I think what was just mentioned.
Okay. Of course, being a startupper is not easy, and it's not a linear process. It's really tricky and not for everyone. There are different, let's say, pitfalls which can make the startup fail. So, for instance, in some cases, we see that startups are working on a solution which is already existing on the market, and the startup is not aware of this fact. So they do not make an investigation and study on the available services, on the trends. And in some other cases, they do not start with with identifying and validating the clinical need Of course, there is a demand or something, but they do not validate it, and they do not, target the precise challenge that the clinics or the clinical field has. Another big failure could be that the startups are not businessmen, and they do not have the business skills. Therefore, they should think about the business aspect from the very first moment. So they should learn the size of the market. They should learn what is the difference between the user and the payer, especially in healthcare. It's very, very valid. So they are dreaming about huge numbers because the number of diseases or patients are huge, but they do not take into consideration who will pay for that innovative solution. So they should definitely be clear about who is the client, actually. And a startup should also have very strong project management skills, because, dealing with a team, dealing with a solution, doing this stuff in validation in the clinics, handling the finances, everything needs strong project management skills and financial skills as well. And if we think about the later stage, for instance, fundraising, it's really, really difficult, and it needs, deep knowledge on the available sources of funding, how to sell their solution, how to present it, how to pitch it. So the startups are, in most of the cases, scared of running pitches, but from the very first moment, they should practice, they should learn how to sell their solution to the clinicians, to the patient, to the payer, to the national healthcare services. So actually at EIT Health, we always investigate what is needed for being a successful startup. And we try to fulfill the future healthcare workforce needs. So for instance, one limitation for implementing and introducing the digital solutions is the trust and the data protection. So therefore, we teach hundreds and hundreds of participants or the AI technical or practical knowledge, not only this theory, but also practical knowledge. Therefore, we involved GE Healthcare, and the most professional experts teach how to use and what is good, what the AI is good for. And we also have a fantastic course on cybersecurity, because all the startups who especially work on digital solutions, they should be aware of the fact that their solutions will be tested against cybersecurity. So these are really, really important skills and competencies and knowledge, and the startups should be aware of it and should be well prepared. So it's a constant learning and developing, but at the same time, it's super exciting.
Yeah, there I have a question also from the audience that fits into this workforce education that you also mentioned, Mónika. We had a question: are there any specific training and study programs in the field of digital health, but I would say also healthcare, for the training of doctors and nurses or assistants? So as far as I remember well, you are also so there is this triangle with the education field, right? So how could, like, I don't know, interested doctors or nurses approach, for example, those programs of EIT Health?
I mean, of course, the best way is to visit our website, because there are always opportunities to learn and join our courses. And of course, the AI courses are mainly for healthcare professionals and those who have some experience or basic knowledge. And we have different levels also in AI. But this is exactly why we launched digital health courses, just to give the basics for those who are interested and who can imagine that they will work in digital health later on. And of course, I mean, even if we have the most beautiful digital solutions using AI or machine learning technologies, if the clinicians cannot use it, it is worth nothing almost. And also those solutions needs to be taught. I mean, clinicians who have the knowledge, you know, they need to teach those machines and those applications to be precise. So it takes a little bit of time to be fully fledged and use those solutions in the clinics, but time will come very soon. So this is our future for sure.
Marco-Jata, I could also jump
Go on,
in
yeah.
and about the education programs, because at the St. Pölten University of Applied Sciences, we have for some years now the Digital Healthcare Masters program, and I teach in this program as a coach, and we see a lot of professionals from all over. Like we have in one moment, I have 2 doctors, physiotherapists, people coming in from clinicians and so on. And so it's we see a lot of desire to work in these interdisciplinary teams to learn how to use user-centered design to solve problems that these professionals face in their own domains through training, through also upskilling in a program like this.
Are they coming in with the aim just to educate themselves for everyday practice, or with the aim to develop some innovation?
It depends. I think in my experience, these are usually professionals. They are working in the field already, and they have interested in understanding what digital healthcare is and what it can do for them, and how they can be part of it. So this master's program is structured so that they attend outside of the normal working hours, and allows them to, you know, carry on their professional lives.
I mean, I would be also interested to hear from you, Gregor. This is now a spontaneous question, so just let me know. But yeah, how, because that's a bit what we are doing now in the E.I.N.S project is also, we see that there are now the EIT has also this DETUTECH initiative. It's like that we will upskill 10,000, for example, people in digital health. And then I was now thinking, like, how can we set up cooperations also with startups that maybe have like already some solutions and want to cooperate, for example, with hospitals and so on. So I mean, how is it for you, this handling between being in the lab and developing your tool, but also how do you work with the users and the people that are using your tool? And then Mónika, I think you also have some, because you know also a lot about cooperation with those stakeholders, right? So I'm shifting a little bit the topic.
So, and just to kick this off briefly, I mean, so we had quite a long cooperation phase, 1.5 years with 2 universities, and they were sort of using the products and really giving us feedback over the months and how to improve it and how to change it. And I think that helps a lot, because there's only so much you can do as a small team in a startup, and receiving input from your users is, of course, always the most valuable thing you can receive as a startup. And then the other thing is, of course, there's a lot of challenges. So if you think about healthcare or yeah, like hospitals or very specific corporate that just issue challenges, but at some point, you know, it would have to be a very specific challenge in order to fit exactly to your use case. So these are really nice. So for example, for us, there hasn't really been like a great fit. And I think if you don't get this perfect fit, then it doesn't really make sense to join or apply for such challenges. Yeah. How do you feel about this, Mónika?
Yeah, in the later or recently, we started to prioritize those programs which are challenge-based, because we really want to, how to say, promote collaboration between industry and startups, and hospitals and startups. Because, you know, the startups definitely need this support from the clinicians, and also from experts from, let's say, I don't know, large pharma companies. because this is really hands-on experience and hands-on knowledge. And even if, I don't know, the department head in a pharma company is not a startupper, but still has a, I don't know, decades of experience, how to run a successful business here and there, and what makes someone successful. So these are really, really inspiring meetings and mentoring sessions. And recently I talked with a hospital lead, and she said that they are very much happy to start collaborating with startups, but after that they are a little bit frustrated because a startup has the knowledge and the expertise, but the startup doesn't know anything about the clinical processes and procedures and the real clinical settings. Therefore, she said that the most fantastic innovation is when the startups start to innovate right from the beginning with the clinics, and not just, jumping in and saying, hey, I have a fantastic solution. And the clinicians are saying, oh, I have seen hundreds of these kind of solutions and it's not valid or not feasible, or forget it immediately. So the sooner the validation happens, the better for the startup. So fail fast if it is needed. And we visited Israel last year or so because, they are really fast moving and really innovative. And what we also learned that they have, each and every hospital has an innovation department, and the innovation department is eager to, take the hospital, take these startups and bring it to the right person, to the right department. So for a startup said that how long does it take for you to get into the hospital and get validation? And he replied that, okay, half a day or so, because, competition is always, helping innovation. And in Israel, for instance, the insurance model is in a way that the patients can decide which insurance company he or she joins. If he or she is not satisfied with the service or service quality, he or she can move to another insurance company and use the services of a different hospital. Therefore, they are competing on service quality. If it is not the case, for instance, in Central and Eastern Europe, innovation or startups with innovative solutions have a harder time, but still, but I believe that one of the most important value add what EIT Health is doing, that irrespective of where the startup was established or where the talent is coming, we pick or select the most promising startups or startup founders and take them to a boot camp and train them and let them to compete on an international level. You know what I mean? They will learn immediately how to be competitive, what is the service quality, how a pitch should look like. So we push them to be fast moving and agile and compete on international level. And Margosata, you asked me why startup fail in some cases. And we also experienced that, for instance, startups from in the US, they always think about on global level, on global scale. And startups in Central and Eastern Europe, they just think about their local market. And if you want to be a successful startup and if you want to launch your product on the international market, you need to have this mindset. You know what I mean? To develop your solution with having this mindset. So there are lots of steps which are needed and which can be failed.
Yeah, I had already now noted some hints. So I think this. Do we understand you right? So you are supporting the Think Local but Act Global.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean,
Sorry.
our startups and also our talents get the mentors from Oxford and Karolinska or whatever, but irrespective where they are and where they are located. Okay.
What do you see like I mean, Vanessa, you wanted to add something because you had the interdisciplinary research, right? So what is for you this how to be successful in interdisciplinary research? Because I think it's something that's not so easy to understand each other when you come from different disciplines. So what would you be your hint, like how to be successful?
I'm going to come back to that question right away. Linda has been jumping to also make a comment, so I will let her go first.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's also related because it relates also to interdisciplinary and also to communication with stakeholders and hospitals. I mean, I'm talking about hospitals which do not have innovation department. Because in my experience, there are two very distinct situations. One is that healthcare professionals they don't have any digital skills, and the other one is when they know something and they have very high expectations. And in both cases, the testing and validating the prototype is really hard, I would say, and challenging and also interesting. Because in both ways, you need to also educate them. In one case, you need to kind of try and open their fantasy, I would say, in order to be able to communicate with them about your unique features and your unique possibilities, because these specialists are often very down to earth, and it's hard for them to imagine something from AI or wearables or even e-health. So first you educate them. I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't say that I'm like some kind of professor in educating, but still in communication, in order to validate, you need to try and open them out of everyday life. But in the other case, when they have too high expectations, then you again need to talk to them that, okay, this is maybe not what's possible due to a row of technical reasons or IT reasons. So it's also with interdisciplinary communication and the whole process.
And I think that's a perfect point for me to continue, because for me also, in response to your question, Margareta, is that communicating a lot and early helps a lot with this interdisciplinary work, because for example, I have two examples of how we can do this and how we have been doing this. One is right now, as part of this Alliance of European Universities, EI.UDRES², we have a meeting on site here where we have researchers in well-being coming to discuss Horizon Europe proposals and how they can work together. And today we actually have two networks, the Wellbeing Network and the AI and Computing Network, coming together to discuss how to do a joint Horizon Europe proposal, which I find very exciting. And also already with the first meeting, we observe that we have the computer scientists on the one side and the psychologists and care workers on the other, and or researchers on the other, and we have to try to find a common language so that on the one hand, usually the technology providers are trying to learn what exactly is the problem and trying to provide technology which will solve the problem or help towards the solution of the problem. But first they have to understand the problem in the core of it. And this is actually not so trivial, because it depends on the other researchers, whether it be social scientists or health scientists, being able to communicate what the problem is in a way that is understandable for other people. And for me, I think the key is to really begin that conversation as early as possible, so that we don't have a invention that is basically someone has a good idea, they think, oh, I can make this technology, and now I need to find a niche or an application area, and then they go to talk to the social scientists or the health researchers. And by then it's too late because the technology is already there. We're trying to fit sometimes a square peg in a round hole. And it really just, it comes across very much to users and consumers that that's what we're trying to do. And it really doesn't work well at all. And the other example I can give of talking early and talking a lot is at our Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation, the CDHSI. We have recently formed a physical collab space, the CDHSI Hub, where we have put together junior researchers, senior researchers from health sciences, social sciences, and technology together in a co-working space. So as to facilitate these kind of spontaneous conversations. I'm a big believer in unplanned spontaneous interactions that often lead to very, very creative ideas, because people are at their most, let's say, relaxed, and they are not necessarily pushing for a solution. And so they might be open to really innovative suggestions from other people from different fields.
I'm sorry, I have to admit I was Googling. Googling a little bit. So yeah, I have added, yeah, I think I am, I like this using all the networks that are available. And I think regardless of which target group we are talking about. So yes, for E1, I would say like that is interesting for everybody. So it's interesting for students, for staff, for startups, and for everybody, that there are so many networking events or programs, education programs that could be used also free, right, Mónika? So they're, yeah. So I just added the link for EIT Health for the events and opportunities they are offering. And I am also maybe Jakob, you could also add at FH St. Pölten, there is this build well-being. Maybe you can tell more about it, Vanessa, because I'm not so aware. So there are a lot of workshops. So FH St. Pölten really brings like practitioners together. Yeah. And health professionals and also students to really have education to really practice-oriented sessions. Yeah, so I will add that from last year to the chat too. So if you want to join, so maybe you can also like add Linda and Gregor, because from your perspective, which networking opportunities are really interesting for startups that you have like on your radar, if you want to get to the target groups, if you want to get to the workforce in health and so on.
Do you talk or?
So do I understand correctly? Your question is what collaborations would I look for in my stage with the startup?
Yes, for example, so would be your hint to where to join and where the people can attach.
I mean, at this stage, which for me specifically, it's like a prototype stage. So I need everything basically. It's validation, it's prototype validation, market research, also looking for the partners to work with, and well, yeah, at this stage, it's everything is necessary, because at least as I see from my perspective, this technological solution can be applied in variety of fields. So there needs to be this really deep research where it should go, where there is enough potential customers and payable, the ones who are able to pay. And basically these fields start from military ending to hospitals. So yeah, that's an interesting stage to be in.
Yeah, so to add to this, so for us it's a bit similar. So we are kind of sort of finished one product where we already have now first customers, and that's quite exciting. So this really just requires money to at that point scale, but at the same time, this whole field is still so early and it's such a research area, huge research area as well. That of course for us it doesn't make sense to stagnate here. So we have a very clear plan of where we want to go next. And of course, this always requires to have other stakeholders on board. That requires to really have the full chain of these of printed tissues, or the usability chain. So initially, of course, having someone on board that does R&D with a new tissue type, then having a producer such as us on board, and then of course at the later stage having users on board, and that's three very different types of stakeholders. Finding this takes a lot of time, and really having a project, research project, a lot of time, but also a lot of money in this as well. So yeah.
I mean,
No.
this is like well known, and needed. Mónika, I don't know if you want to add something to that. So like this typical stage when and how they can be successful. So what is your recommendation to that? So how are you contributing with EIT Health to support them?
Before that, I would react on the networking what was said before. I mean, we have lots of networking events because we strongly believe in it. So we see clearly that the startups really like to learn from each other. So the peer-to-peer learning is extremely important for them. And also after our events, like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, we have we had an event with 400 participants in Lisbon. And the startups were really inspired after the event because they learned from each other which opportunities the other sees, whom to talk, whom to contact, which investor is ready to invest in this or that field. So it's very inspiring because, you know, if you are a startup or you are a businessman, you do your business for many years, however you are a researcher, but you need to do the bloody stuff as well, and you get tired, and therefore you need inspiration all the time. It is hard to say when this success phase starts, but for sure, I mean, having your solution validated and having the first customers, it's very important phase, or, you know, milestone, because the investors are not really interested in your startup if you don't have the first, you know, traction, you don't have the first customers. So I would say this is one of the turning points. And after that, of course, each and every investment rounds, you know, puts you on a different level and different path, let's say. And entering a new market, it's another very important milestone. If I could tell you what is the secret sauce, I would love to do that. Constant work, constant learning, and really hard work, and being mindful and pay attention to each and every detail, and building up a team which has the necessary competencies. Because, you know, a researcher doesn't necessarily need to become a finance manager. There are people who are better at finance stuff, or fundraising, or logistics, or sales, because sales is really hard. I am an economist, but sales is not for everyone, or logistics is not for everyone. So you need to put together the team which is capable. And of course, investors are also very much interested in the team and the consistency and strengths of the team, because they invest their money, they invest their time and effort into a company. And if it fails, I mean, if there are not enough competencies, not enough people, not enough resources, human resources, it can easily collapse. Therefore, the investor is really interested into the team structure as well. Yeah, this is my comment here.
Yes, so we can say like it is the internal networking. Yes, sorry. And the external
while we're on
networking. Vanessa, go on. Yes.
Yes, while we're on networking, and you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Build Wellbeing. This event has been running for several years now by my colleague Jakob Doppler and at the CDHSI, and it's for the last couple of years has been in hybrid format. And in 2023, it's going to be on the 16th of June. And it really is a very, very nice platform for companies to discuss their work with researchers, but also with other companies. This is from Hello Better, which was last year. They were very much about digital health applications in Germany. And on top of that, a very special feature, at least I find, is that students are also able to present their work. So this is the Masters of Digital Healthcare program that I was mentioning before. And we have the students then presenting their projects or in some cases, prototypes and products at this event also. So it's really worth going to.
Yeah, I think yeah, Mónika, we should invite you. I already noted it.
My pleasure.
Yes. Yeah, and of course.
Perfect, Mónika.
And Gregor and everybody. Yeah, so I think this is also like an important opportunity is like to take if you see that you're working in these fields and you wanna attach to your colleagues and also to the different networks, that there are a lot of possibilities and we just need to know about them. Yes, so I think I have added the one question that we have had in the audience. So if you have anything to add, now is the time. And if not, then let me just go to my last slide. So yes, I'm inviting, yeah, and then I should also share the slide, of course. I am also inviting you to follow our project and the events. I will also add another slide that we just presented the events before. So the EIT Health Networking and also from FH St. Pölten. And yeah, so stay tuned. This is our homepage. It is E³UDRES.EU and E1S, the E1S project in English. Yeah, and we have added all the accounts that we're using, so Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So our session will be recorded and it's gonna be cut it, and then after that we're gonna put it in YouTube. So yeah, if you have interested colleagues or students that are working in this field or startups and spin-offs, you can share it with them and advise them to some nice hints that we have shared in this inspiring chat. Yeah, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, to our team. And yes, we are looking forward to see you. And now I have to stop the screen that I have issues doing so. Yeah. So I would really like to give a very, very big thank you to the speakers. Yeah, at the end of the year, it is a tight schedule for everybody. So I am really thankful that you are here, Mónika, Gregor, and Linda, and Vanessa, and that we have support from the Center for Digital Health also here in the webinar. So yeah. Thanks a lot. A lot of success for the startups and do your networking and the hard work, and see you soon in one or the other event.